out, Sway.
Take a few steps back to go.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers. You ain't got the answers.
So I just finished re-listening to every Kanye album this past week, and I gotta say, his discography still holds up overall. Really, as an artist, it's hard to keep up and hold that consistency, but Kanye, he does it greatly, and this is why he is known to be one of the most influential in our decade. So with all that being said, I will be ranking every single Kanye album in today's video. Also, by the way, this is a Kanye video, so I'm gonna only be ranking solo albums. I feel like it would take the focus off of him if I was like ranking collab albums, so yeah. Also, I'm not no Anthony Fantano. I'm not a nerd about hip-hop, alright? Like, these are just ratings. They ain't gonna be crucial. Anyways, let me stop. Let's just get into it. So last on the list is obviously, it's gonna be Jesus is King. Now, while I did find Jesus is King to be a great album, it's still gonna rank last for me, yo. I do think this album is very overhated though. This is simply just because it's a gospel album, which never fit the theme into his like idea of music. It seems to lag like the focus of the actual constructed writing, cause some of these lyrics, bro. I mean, besides that, songs like On God and Follow God have great production, which makes up for it to me. Anyways, 6 out of 10. Now coming in at number 9, it's gotta be 808s and Heartbreaks, yo. Now once again, just because it is low in the ranking does not mean I do not like it. I enjoyed this album. I also enjoyed the influence it was able to bring, but it does not hold up to now. I mean, while it did influence sounds today, to me, 808s is really an album I see as forgettable on Kanye's discography. Most of the tracks I saw myself never coming back to, but I will say this though. Welcome to Heartbreak, one good ass song. I think it's my favorite Kanye song ever, but unfortunately, that's the only highlight to the album. For me at least. 7 out of 10.
Can I talk my again?
Now at number 8, this may come as a surprise, but to be honest, it's Late Registration. Now I won't lie, sometimes I find this album to be extremely overrated. I made sure I re-listened to this album with the most open mind just to make sure my opinion still stands. I knew I would catch some haters lacking in the comments, that's why. But yeah, my opinion, it still stood tall after those couple re-listens. Most of the songs get unnecessarily stretched out to the point I'm like, bro, does this song even end? Even though it's like 4 minutes long, I mean, like, it's still, that's how I feel. Basically what I'm trying to say is the stuff gets repetitive on tracks. With songs like Drive Slow, I'm like, okay, this song, it's great, it's good, I like it. But then what feels like 20 minutes later got me wondering when this song is gonna finish. I feel like it's a stretch. It's 4 minutes and 32 seconds, feels nothing like 4 minutes and 32 seconds. And this simply comes from the fact I keep feeling like I'm hearing the same things over and over. It's a constant loop. Anyways, I got mixed emotions about this album. 7 out of 10. Number 7 is gonna have to be Ye. At first, I was really debating whether to put Ye or Late Registration at this number 7 spot, but I had to end up giving it to Ye. People will usually rank this album low in Kanye's discography just because it's short, but to be honest, I don't see this album's length like really to be an impact to its structure as a whole. I even find it pretty cool how you can get like everything down for a concept of an album in like 24 minutes. It's kind of like Kids See Ghosts. Now I feel like I've been straight praising this album right now, but real talk, the huge problem with this album is that I feel like it wasn't needed. Yeah, I'ma listen to the songs on Ye here and then, but bro, this album, it just feels like some DLC to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It kind of reminds me of Insomniac making a whole second game on Spider-Man with Miles Morales, like just for it like really not to be needed. It's a short game. I know this, I said short doesn't matter. I mean, bro, it's a great game, but it's an extra. We kind of learned nothing new and we are already aware of what he's talking about, like he hasn't talked about it before. But I do love how he's able to speak on mental illness though, like which it puts out a great message. But to be honest, this album, Ye, it ain't really all that to me. I mean, the problem, it isn't that bad, I guess, but still, just 8 out of 10.
Junior want to not be on my
Now at number 6, unfortunately, it's gonna have to be Donda. And the reason I say unfortunately is because when this album was announced, it had like crazy anticipation. Everybody and their mother was like, yo, Donda. I was really expecting it to be like top 1 Kanye, nothing close. To be honest, this album is very, very beautiful, but it's kind of weirdly laid out, and I don't like how the part 2s like are there, like they weren't needed on the first version of the album. Sometimes I just feel like this album, it just simply wasn't finished.
This nigga is
But real talk though, I love the concept of this album. I find it really cool how Kanye got so many features, got controversial people on this album, newer mainstream artists, to show he's not afraid to work with the younger generation. Man, it just feels like superheroes and Kanye's like Captain America recruiting other superheroes. Nah, for real though, this album is cool. 8 out of 10. Now we enter top 5, and at 5 it's gonna have to be Graduation. For a while, this album was my favorite Kanye album and one of my favorite albums ever, period. It brought a great and happy mood to a hip-hop album, and I feel like Kanye, he just executed that perfectly. Now before I get you NPCs in my comments talking about what about Barry Bonds or what about Drunken Hot Girl, shut up, okay? They ain't even that bad. I remember I hadn't listened to both of those songs for a while, and I just saw people hating it. I was like, okay. I went on my phone, I re-listened to them, and was confused. Like, am I listening to the right song as well? Like, it's not even that bad, okay? Chill out. Songs like Good Morning and Homecoming really set the mood for me. I usually re-listen to a lot of the songs after graduation in the morning, before school, just, you know, I can set the right mind, cause Graduation, bro, it really gives off a great positive mind to you as a person. One problem though is that this album really slowly faded off enjoyment wise over the years, but I guess it was fun while that 100% enjoyment lasted. Also, I seen this album get like unnecessary hate lately. I don't know why. Y'all just some losers. This album's cool. 9 out of 10. At number 4, we got The Life of Pablo. So I remember when I first listened to this album, I really didn't like have no care whatsoever when listening to it. Like, after listening to it, I just didn't care. Like, I didn't know. And, you know, time passes by and I'm just going through songs on it. I'm like, wow, did I really just overlook this song? And this happened like to like almost every track, but the one specific track I want to say did this with like heavy realization was 30 Hours. I don't know what I was doing when this track played while I was listening to the album, but man, it is great. The production, the energy, it brings out my stank face for real. Now real talk though, this album got me feeling like Kanye. I think that was the intentions too, because like every time I listen to this album, I get a crazy big ego, my confidence goes up. It's like just all so damn good, bro. It's really Kanye versus the world. He got you feeling like a lone alpha male with no corny shit. Also, Saint Pablo is easily like the best track to me. Kanye really lets us understand him in the song, and he puts his soul and emotion to the song. And I always feel like I can relate to this track, but real stuff though, I just don't. That's the power of Kanye's message in his music. One thing I do have to say though is that I hate the song Waves. I don't know why. I just don't like it. Anyways, the album's cool. 9 out of 10. Now entering top 3. Off the top 3 spot, we're gonna start off with the College Dropout. With this being the first ever studio album by Kanye, it really tipped things off to his music career. It was really showing us that this man, he can rap. We all know Kanye started off producing, and he was not like acknowledged for his rapping a lot. This album just really brings the idea that Kanye can prove a point every time, just exactly like in Yeezus, but I'll get into that later. Kanye really has the vision of a success story. Also, it's just great being able to see Kanye advance from like, you know, the College Dropout to Donda, because he's been able to find a new sound each time, and I just love it. 10 out of 10. Now at number 2, it's gonna be Yeezus. Okay, I could talk about Yeezus for hours. Like most people, at first I did not like this album, but I loved it once I really understood its concept, and I just realized like it's all about Kanye not giving a fuck. And what I mean by this is that after like 2009, like, you know, the whole Taylor incident, he really became hated on, and he really had to stick with it, and he was using it to his advantage, because this album was the pinnacle of Kanye finally going all out on the media. It was going crazy, it was going wild. After My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Yeezus things, it really shifted gears. Now to the main point though, where I mentioned how the concept of this album is incredible, like on Kanye being able to do what he wants. Like, I'm sure Kanye was fully aware of this album getting extreme hate. It's an experimental album, it's gonna get hate. So Yeezus starts off with a track On Sight. It's filled with loud craziness, electronic and experimental noise all in one, but later transitions into a calm sample saying he'll give us what we need, it may not be what we want. And boom, at that point now the listener becomes comfortable, like, okay, it's a calm part of a song, I like it. And then right there, it's Kanye proving his point. He does it again. With this sample being so symbolic to the whole matter of his character, it just shows that he's gonna drop stuff because it's what his fans need. He's never gonna drop something because that's what they want. He will never let himself or his fans get too comfortable. If he did that, it would just never lead to the messages, the stuff he's trying to put out, like what he's trying to say. He puts his music out because he wants to. It's what he needs to give people, and this is what more artists need to do. It's basically the same thing with quality over quantity. It's rare nowadays seeing rappers use this idea to make art. This is why I really like Roddy Ricch as an artist. He hasn't dropped an album in 2 years, and people want to say, oh, he fell off, but who cares? He's simply taking the idea to perfect his craft, and more artists need to keep doing this. I won't even lie, I wasn't rocking with Yeezus when it dropped, and that should be no surprise, because like I said, the album is experimental. It's something new. It's something we haven't heard in music. Anyways, this album is great. If you don't like it, listen to it with an open mind, because I promise you, you'll start loving it. 10 out of 10. Finally, at number 1, it's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I know people love to put this album at their number 1 spot, and it's kind of a cliche opinion, but really this album is just like, it's just art. From the cover to the concept to the features to the product, you know what I'm saying, right? The list just goes on. This album is just beautiful. First, let me talk about the intro to this album, Dark Fantasy. This is just a heaven sent introduction track that really lets us into the reach of this album. Like, the chorus is beautiful, and then boom, Kanye, he comes out of nowhere. He smoothly comes out of nowhere. He's just rapping, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. Then one of my favorite tracks, Gorgeous. Me being a huge Kid Cudi fan, I've always loved the chemistry Kanye and Cudi like brought throughout the years, from 808s to Kids He Goes, and like Gorgeous just does it well. The guitar leaves me in love with the song, and then All of the Lights is like the Avengers in 2012 and the MCU all teaming up to make the perfect team. And it really just feels like the features from Rihanna to Kid Cudi to Charlie Wilson to Alicia Keys to John Legend. I mean, this is all real. You can look it up. The list just goes on and on. So Appalled is one of the very few songs that I can listen to and not get bored of, and like surprisingly just want more. And that Dark Knight sample reference Jay-Z does just is I like it.
Dark night feeling, die you be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Oh! And then Devil in a New Dress has a angelic instrumental, which I easily think is like a top 20 hip-hop instrumental, and the Rick Ross feature is really just the icing on the cake. Now Runaway, do I even have to say anything, bro? This song is really just like the main character on this album, showing how Kanye, how he feels on his so-called dark fantasy. He realizes he's an asshole, but he's gonna keep doing it simply because he cannot help himself. He knows this. He feels guilty. All the emotions are really let out. Blame Game is really good, but sometimes, you know why, I don't know how to feel about Chris Rock just yapping about Kitty for like 5 minutes in the end. And one last thing I always see go underappreciated is the last track, like Who Will Survive in America. This track really just is the perfect ending, capping it off, capturing the dark fantasy. 10 out of 10 across the boards.